Hello and welcome to Travel Insights. Holly Shields reporting to you live from Kalkinemedia Studios in Sydney. In this show, we'll take you through the new destinations around the globe and uncover hidden sites to some of the world's favourite holiday hotspots for travellers. So why wait? Let's get started. Now, our destinations fill a traveller's bucket list like nothing else, and everyone wants to experience the art and culture of their favourite city. In this episode, we picked out several destinations for artistically inclined travellers and aesthetes. First on our list is none other than Melbourne, Australia. As the cultural hub of the country, it's no surprise that this city is considered art central for locals and tourists alike. While Melbourne is home to some incredible art museums and galleries, it's actually the street art that takes the cake when it comes to artistic attractions. Think you've seen some great street art? Well, not until you visited Melbourne. Here to shed some light on the scene is renowned street artist and tour operator Adrian Doyle. Hello and welcome to the show, Adrian. It's a pleasure to have you with us on Travel Insights.
Hey, thanks for having us. It's good to get some company.
Great to have you on. So, to kick things off, your business is the first and only one of its kind, which is incredible. For those that might not know, what does Melbourne Street Art Tours offer and how have you claimed this one and only title?
It's interesting because Melbourne Street Tours offers a unique experience in the sense that all of our tour guides are artists. And at the end of the tours, you get to come back to the Blender Studios, which is this studio where I'm sitting right now. And I can take you for a quick spin in a little while. But basically, it's this functioning in sort of hidden space, which is very important for Melbourne culture. And unless you come on the tour, you wouldn't otherwise get to see this and or meet the artists.
That's awesome. And you say that the tour guides are artists.
Yeah, so all the tour guides are street artists. That's one of the rules. That way everyone benefits off it and it becomes kind of like a utilitarian sort of project.
And that's amazing. Really good to hear. Mm-hmm.
And we get to also like work with a lot of young people, and we get to like show people from overseas what our city is. You know, we get to show them the hidden, secret, smelly, stained parts of the city. You know, Melbourne, as it gentrifies, it becomes closer and closer to every other city. But it's all these hidden places around Melbourne that makes it super unique.
That's a really, really good point as well. And you mentioned that Melbourne is unique and its street art in particular. What would you say sets it apart from the street art in other cities?
I'd say the main thing that happened was Melbourne's street art scene was unique when it started. And it started in about 1999. And it was a lot of art school kids and people who had been in the graph scene. And basically, we were just putting it up on the streets, and it was very Melbourne. And it wasn't until 2005, 2006, which is when the internet started, that street art became a worldwide phenomenon. Until then, it was basically like New York, Berlin, Melbourne, Sao Paulo, and these places all had their own unique styles, which is pretty awesome. That Melbourne definitely had its own unique style, and it still does to this day.
Right, I can imagine. So you said that the internet kind of put a capsule on this art and made it more official, if you will.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about Melbourne is that it's, you know, situated with all the laneways that were built early on under the Hoddle plan. There's just laneways everywhere, and so there's all these unclaimed, unsanctioned spaces where artists can just create. And you know, when you're walking through the city, you can get lost and not know where you are and find yourself in these interesting artistic wonderlands.
Absolutely. It seems like you guys have really made the most of that urban metropolitan space in Melbourne.
Yeah. No, I think with Melbourne, what it also sets us apart is that we were very political when we started. You know, when Stencil started, it was a way to repetitively get stuff up quickly and onto the streets. And basically it was very political. 9/11 had happened. We just had the G20 meeting here. There was, all sorts of important political things happening. And basically it was really reflective in the art. It's changed a lot now. The street art scene's not quite as political anymore. It's what I call new muralism. It's almost like a competition to see who can do the most beautiful work, which isn't a bad thing. There's a lot of beauty out there in the laneways, that means.
That's fascinating. So it went from political to this competition for the most beautiful art. I guess Melburnians aren't complaining about that.
Well, it was originally very much an underground movement that was, very illicit and people going out late at night and putting up the art. Whereas now a lot of it's in sanctioned spaces. So I'm lucky enough to be able to set up a few laneways around Melbourne. I've set up maybe 5. I get permission and I work with the council and set up these beautiful laneways, and they're ever evolving. They're always changing, and the art's changing, or then someone will buy it and build it into an apartment. I mean, Melbourne's a very aqueous space these days.
I don't doubt that at all. And you mentioned that obviously you've been granted allowance to do these works of art by the council and the local government. But we know that in some places street art is actually not allowed and is even banned. So what do you attribute these lax legislation to?
It's interesting because it's not really lax here. We've got very strict graffiti laws, and basically the graffiti laws here became stricter in 2006 with the Commonwealth Games, and they got rid of vast amount of important sort of graffiti art. But basically the art is it's quite strict still, and that's why people aren't doing it as illicitly as they were, because I'm getting older now. I can't run from the police as much. Plus, most people know who I am. I'm certainly not an undercover artist anymore. But when I thought it was very important part of the culture to be hidden and undercover and doing it. But nowadays it can be life altering if a young person gets caught, especially if they're doing stuff that's graffiti based. People have more tolerance for street art, and that's because it's more beautiful. And other cities, they really do have a zero tolerance on graffiti. But in a weird way, like a used city is important. You can't just have the city looking like pristine, or it'll just look like an airport, or just like every other city. You've got to have the stains of time to make it look beautiful. And Melbourne's got so many beautiful, awesome stains and graffiti and marks. It's just amazing. It smells.
Absolutely, I don't doubt it. That is a very good point as well. It's much better than a pristine city, which doesn't have much cultural value at all. So, knowing that, would you say that the street art in Melbourne is more like the heart of Melbourne's art scene rather than some of the well-known art museums?
Street art's kind of been its own worst enemy in Melbourne because it was so big. When it became popular, it really changed the landscape of the city. And the laneways really did become the cultural veins of a city that fast became really famous all over the world. And then people started moving here. Artists started coming from interstate, New Zealand, and what meant that the quality of art here was awesome. But then, people started coming to study. Melbourne became a big international and cool city. And as a result of that, all the cool places, all the hidden laneways, a lot of them have gone now because we've had to build these big giant skyscrapers to fit all these people in. So in a weird way, I think the gentrification of Melbourne is largely due to the urban art movement, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Well, now with COVID, the city's really changing. So hopefully we'll get back some of our city and have a less decentralised creative community in Melbourne.
Very well said. And that sounds like something that Melburnians and tourists alike will be able to enjoy when the city opens up post-COVID. Now, just before we wrap up, what's something that our audience might not know about Melbourne's mesmerising street art? Do you have anything to share?
It's interesting because I was thinking about this. What is something that people wouldn't know about Melbourne street art? I can't think of anything right now,
I think
but
maybe
if,
they'll have to
if
see it
you- if
in
you're just
person.
walking through the street, sorry, mate.
Maybe they'll have to see it in person, right? See it to believe it.
Well, I mean, in the end, there's so many stories, so many hidden things. As you're going through the laneways, there's tiny sculptures, there's paste ups, there's tags, there's murals, there's people that have altered statues. There's so many hidden things and so much history now that street art's been such an important part of Melbourne for 20 years that I wouldn't even know where to start. I certainly made my splash when I did. I painted the whole of Hosier Lane, which is Melbourne's most famous lane. I painted it all baby blue, a colour I call empty nursery blue, and I turned it into a giant empty swimming pool, and got myself into a fair bit of trouble doing that. But urban art and art, it's not meant to make friends; it's meant to make a difference. It's easy to be controversial, but it's hard to be controversial and good.
Very well said, I must say. And I've actually seen that. It's very, very distinguishing colour you've added. Looks very incredible, and it's a very nice touch as well to the space. Now, just before we go, could you
I
maybe...
painted my parents' house that colour.
Oh, well. Before we go, maybe could you pan your screen around? Can we see some of the art behind you?
Well, this is. I'll walk slow, so because
that's
I know that it's a
incredible.
little bit blurry. But you can
Wow,
see here, this is a beautiful wall. And here's our gallery. I'll put you at the front. So
that's
at the moment we've
incredible.
got an exhibition, but it's all been hidden, and because we're all in lockdown, obviously. And you can see here, there's each space here, and a really important part of the Blender philosophy is that all the spaces are left open. And so you can see here, everyone's spaces are open, and everyone's really proud to be part of Blender. They all sort of make an agreement or sign a contract of sorts saying that they'll work hard. And that creates a really important atmosphere. Hey, Matt, how are you? Say hi to the people at home.
Hello.
Matt's just sitting here
Hello.
making art. He's within his 5 kilometres. and
That looks
and you can see
amazing.
here, so yeah, and I'll spin around quickly to the other end. And we have an amazing laneway, which I'm pretty certain you guys won't have time to see today, but it's one of the best laneways in Melbourne now. We've slowly got it up, and we've had to move out the city, but we're just a little bit out of the city. We're at Flagstaff Station in the city loop. This is
That's
Craig. Hey,
incredible.
Craig.
Amazing
Look, Craig's
visuals
painting
there.
this. It's super great.
Oh, thanks for showing us that. That looks absolutely terrific. We got a little sneak
You
peek.
can see some of his other paintings. So he's very influenced by urban art, but very much is a fine artist working in an oil paint. And that's
That looks
what's so
absolutely
interesting
awesome.
about. And this space definitely has that mixture of fine artists and street artists. And this is a stencil artist here. And this is my space. It's one of my paintings here.
Wow,
That's what
look at
happened.
that.
And these are some
Oh,
birds.
that
I've
looks
just finished.
just terrific.
There's a piano that we did for the Paint Me On Yours. So we did 22 pianos with different community groups, and sold it. And you see this? This is made by Junkie Projects. He gets the stuff off the laneways, the paint, and makes jewelry out of it. And you can see all the different layers. It's pretty
That's
awesome stuff.
incredible. That does look super
But that's half
cool.
of Blender Studios, guys, and that gives you a bit of an idea of what I do and
Oh, you've
what
got a
life
very
is
big space
here.
there.
It's pretty awesome. I'm pretty lucky.
That is very awesome, and you are lucky. Thanks so much for showing that to us. That mini tour was really special. It's just about time to wrap up now, but I've got to say thanks so much for joining us today. It's been so good to have you with us.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. And hopefully when things lock back up or whatever it is, you come down to Melbourne, hang out and check out all this awesome art. And visit the Blender Studios and Melbourne Street Tours.
Definitely, definitely. We'll put that on our list. Thanks so much for joining us. And viewers as well, stick around for this short break, because when we come back, we'll be looking at more of the hottest art destinations around the globe, only on Travel Insights.
Hi there, James Preston for Kalkine TV.
Are you into gaming and virtual reality? Does AI and the endless possibilities it entails capture your interest? Or are you constantly trawling through the web to try and discover the latest updates and innovations in the tech space? Well, let us do the work for you. From the latest product launches to shocking affairs on the World Wide Web, exclusive interviews and information about the top companies like Apple and Google to brand new tech startups vying for your attention. Kalkine's Tech Beat has the latest in what matters in the world of technology. Join me every single Thursday on The Tech Beat, exclusive to Kalkine TV.
Hello and welcome back to Travel Insights. You just watched a very spectacular interview with Mr. Adrian Doyle of Melbourne Street Art Tours. Very lucky to see that indeed. Next on our list now is the exquisite city of Paris. In a former royal palace, the Louvre tops the world's most impressive art galleries. Also spectacular are the Grand Palais and the Petit Palais on the Champs-Élysées with their Beaux-Arts architecture and lofty roofs. Plus, their art collections of fine art and sculpture are something you can't miss. The Musée d'Orsay, originally a Grand City Railway station on the left bank, and the modern Centre Pompidou near Les Halles are also buildings which are just as impressive as the art exhibits they contain. The next destination on our list now is the cultural capital of the globe, New York City. Known as the art capital of the world, the creative vibe in America's Big Apple is set against a backdrop of three big-name galleries: the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Museum of Modern Art, and the Guggenheim. A prestigious host of others include the Frick Collection with its eclectic collection of paintings, sculptures, and ceramics, the Whitney Museum of American Art with its Warhols and O'Keeffes, and the New Museum of Contemporary Art with its discussions and digital archives. Next on our list is the haven city of Costa Brava in Spain. Well, Salvador Dali is just one of the many famous artists associated with this Catalan region of northeastern Spain, extending north of Barcelona to the French border. The Dali Theatre Museum is located in his 1904 birthplace, Figueres, and the Gala Dali Castle in Pubol. The seaside village of Cadaqués inspired the 20th century sculptor and painter Joan Miró, and Pablo Picasso rented a house here in 1910. Plus, French artist Marc Chagall made Tossa de Mar his home in the 1930s. Well, it's time now for a short break, but stick with us for more destinations.
Hi there, James Preston for Kalkine TV. Are you into gaming and virtual reality? Does AI and the endless possibilities it entails capture your interest? Or are you constantly trawling through the web to try and discover the latest updates and innovations in the tech space? Well, let us do the work for you. From the latest product launches to shocking affairs on the World Wide Web, exclusive interviews and information about the top companies like Apple and Google to brand new tech startups vying for your attention. Kalkine's Tech Beat has the latest in what matters in the world of technology. Join me every single Thursday on The Tech Beat, exclusive to Kalkine TV.
Welcome back to Travel Insights. You're just in time to check out more of the top destinations for art lovers. Well, next on our list is the exotic land of India, which is home to the famous Khajuraho Temple. A UNESCO World Heritage Site famous for the well-preserved erotic sculptures, this group of Buddhist, Jain and Hindu temples in the Madhya Pradesh state of northern India date from between 950 AD and 1050 AD. Built of sandstone, only a fraction have survived, spread over an area of around 4 square miles. Art lovers flock here to see these depictions that include scenes from every day, like farming, music making, and people taking part in spiritual practices. The best example, Khajuraho Mahadeva Temple, has around 870 carvings. Well, from east to west now, next we take a look at Aarhus in Denmark. Denmark's second largest city is also a vibrant cultural hub. In fact, the city was named the European Capital of Culture for 2017. Roam the city's charming cobblestone streets and you'll see plenty of small art galleries worth browsing. Aros Museum is one of the largest art museums in Northern Europe. Established in 1859, it reopened in a modern 10-story building in 2004. Visit to enjoy the museum's large art collection and special exhibitions of Danish artists. You can't miss the museum's iconic rainbow panorama on the roof, and don't skip the basement. And if you consider food to be a form of art, we certainly do, you'll love Aarhus. The city is home to a 3 Michelin star restaurant Substance, as well as Restaurant Federjörg and Restaurant Gastronom. And now to the epitome of art and culture, Rome, Italy. Art is everywhere in Rome. You can spend a day exploring the sprawling Vatican Museums, make an appointment to visit intimate Borghese galleries, or simply stroll the streets admiring the many obelisks, fountains, and statues to be seen. The Trevi Fountain is the most iconic in the city, but 3 fountains of the Piazza Navona and the Fountain di Qua Paola near the Giancolo Hill are also worth visiting. The Vatican Museums are one of the largest museums in the world, with 54 galleries in total. It's most famous for the incredible Sistine Chapel, as well as the Raphael Rooms, the Gallery of Maps, the Gregorian Egyptian Museum, the Gallery of Statues, and the Papal Throne. And of course, the Vatican's St. Peter's Basilica can be considered a work of art in and of itself. Rome has a long and storied history, yet the city has also gained an appreciation for modern art. Opened in 2010, Maxi is the city's first museum devoted entirely to the art of today. The building, designed by renowned architect Zaha Hadid, is as modern as impressive, as well as the museum's contents. And that concludes our list on travel insights. That's about all we have time for today, but I hope you've enjoyed this special artistic edition of the show. Keep watching Kalkine TV as we bring you the next episode of Travel Insights next Monday. Holly Shields signing off.